just arrived here at the Gita Nagari Eco Farm in rural Pennsylvania. We'll be spending a little time learning about the different ways in which they contribute towards sustainable development, and specifically then how they incorporate the spiritual focus in whatever it is that they do here. Gita Nagari is one of the only ahimsa dairies in the United States, which means that all the cows they keep, it's all, as they say, violent-free milk, slaughter-free milk. So they have about 80 cows here, and all of them are allowed to live out their natural life. None of them are slaughtered, and none of them are either sold. So they're all kept here to have a nice natural life, simple life, just like we humans would like to just live till the end of our days with our families and our kids. So yeah, it's a very nice place. It actually takes quite hard work nowadays to have a dairy in which you don't kill animals, because the economy is not really suited for mercy. So some very wonderful people here will make it happen, and see all the things that they do with the cow. So it's about 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm taking a walk towards an important part of the process, which is the dairy. So every morning around this time they milk all the cows, and if you ever know anything about farms, it's one of the big works on the dairy farm is that cows have to milk twice a day, and that's why farmers don't take a holiday so often. But yeah, it's quite a nice walk. Some cows chilling here. These are the bulls. So these guys are lucky because they don't have to get milk, and they can just chill out every day, eat grass, and at least here in Gita Nagari they can live out their natural lifespan. They make an attempt to also work them, so work with the bulls. Because what's interesting with bulls is that they need to be worked. That's the problem, because they have so much energy. I mean, imagine, what is the point of a bull? So people sometimes complain, or they think, it may be cruel, to work animals. But I mean, what did you do? Like, we've all now sat within the quarantine, and after a few weeks of quarantine it's maybe nice, but at a certain point you just want to get back to work, because work is important for us to be happy and healthy. So same with these animals, is that they actually need some work to stay fit. Otherwise they become very fat and they actually become very aggressive. So that's the problem with bulls nowadays. So obviously the modern world solves the problem by just killing them. So the bulls are obviously first slaughtered. So in the dairy farm you would have, when they get boys, then they're sent to the slaughterhouse first, just even after a year or very soon they're sent. But in Gita Nagari they don't, because they don't want to slaughter them. But that's the big, we could say, the missing part of the puzzle that makes the economy of violent-free farming difficult, is because it's the little bulls. What do you do with them? Because you can't, if you sell them, they'll definitely get slaughtered. And if you want to keep them, they're not economically viable, because no one works them anymore. We work with tractors. Srila Prabhupada, for example, said that the tractor, it was the fall down, that was the destruction of the village system, because the moment you have tractors, then cows or the bulls become irrelevant, and then the bulls get slaughtered, and then you start things start spiraling down very quickly. So it's a big challenge. So we need some people to be willing to work with the bulls, and it only really works if you love them. So we'll show you later some people here who really like working with the bulls, and they take it upon themselves to work them around here. But in the future there are some places in the world where people really, if you really go obviously away from petrochemicals and electricity, then bull power becomes essential. If you don't want to be dependent on oil, then you have to return back to bull power, because it's such an amazing, it's like the most amazing animal. They're so strong, and the only thing you need to power them is some grass. Isn't that amazing? You don't need oil, you don't need factories, you just need some grass. Feed them some grass and they'll work hard the whole day. Here we are at the dairy, and it's quite a modern setup they have here. It's all certified according to the FDA's regulations for which is required for commercial dairy products. So even though they're doing something ancient in terms of protecting the cows nicely, and they're doing it also with all the required modern technology to make sure everything is clean and sanitary, up to the high standards that are set by the US government. So we're here at the entrance of the dairy with my good friend Damodar Gita. Is one of the champions here at Gita Nagari. He really loves the cows, and somehow he gets a lot of bliss out of taking care of them. So I was going to ask him a little bit about the dairy. So the dairy farm here obviously is under high regulations, government regulations, to make sure everything is clean and hygienic. And you guys have so you're like a commercially registered dairy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how many cows do you have here that you milk basically every day?
We have right now we have 19 cows with milk.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your dairy is quite in. It's in high demand, huh?
Yeah, because I think there's a new market for like a hemp milk, and so it's very popular among like vegans. I mean, no, not vegans, but like ethical, consumers.
Ethical consumers.
Yeah. So we sometimes have a waiting list, and it can go up to like maybe 20 or 30 people waiting.
Wow, to get on the list.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So recently we've gotten to the point where we've produced a little bit more milk. So the waiting list I think it's decreased now. So yeah, but we always run out of like cheese and yogurt.
The good stuff.
Yeah, the yogurt always goes. Yogurt and milk is the most, the one that's always sought after.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that goes very quickly. Yeah.
Nice. You know all the cows by name?
I know most of the milkers. Yeah. And I know some of the retired cows as well.
Yeah, the retirees.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Nice. How long does it take you to milk them every day?
So it can take, it depends on when you start. If you start late, the cows, they get a little bit, I say maybe a little bit frustrated because they want to get milked really quickly and get out and get back on the field to eat. But on a typical basis, it could take like maybe like 40 minutes to like an hour.
And twice a day?
Yeah, twice a day. And on the bad days, it could take like maybe like a cow doesn't want to go in because it's raining and it's too wet, or like sometimes they hold their milk sometimes. You have to wait and try. It could take like an hour and 30 minutes. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hard life. So difficult to take a holiday for a
Yeah.
Nice. What do you like most about working with the cows?
It's more like it's almost part of like a sadhana as well, because you get like it kind of grounds you when you get out in the morning. It gets you going,
Yeah. Because you're responsible for it.
Yeah. So if you have like a slow day, this will definitely get you going,
Yeah. No time to sleep.
No time to sleep. They get you going. You would never know. You can't predict what they're gonna do. So it's the whole day is up in the air.
Yeah.
If you're walking them, one cow might turn around and go somewhere else.
Yeah.
You go into the field to get them, and then one cow is missing, so you have to like walk all the way out extra miles to come and find them.
But what I find interesting about you is that your background is not agriculture. Your background is actually what did you study?
Yeah, I studied IT.
Studied IT. There you go. Very interesting. Because yesterday I was just speaking about we were working the cows or the bulls with Abai, and then just the difference between working with technology and working with animals.
Yeah.
And it's just so much more. In one sense, it's a little more. Let's say frustrating. You need more patience, but it's way more way more rewarding at the end, working with a living being.
Yeah. I mean, there is both. There is frustration on both sides, and then the other spectrum is like, I mean, you're dealing with animals, and on the IT side, you're dealing with people. I don't want to see people as animals, but it's
sometimes
kind of It's like it's a little bit more of training like your tolerance level when you're dealing with animals.
Yeah.
Because they're just like kids, and they just, they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They can just do anything and just hurt themselves. Um, yeah, so it's a bit, it's quite challenging, and you have to be very patient and very understanding to kind of like, walk them. They can take like. I joke with the other guys that it takes them 40 minutes to walk 40 inches. It takes them really long to just walk.
Yeah, and cows especially, they always look like they take their time, they
Yeah.
don't mind taking their time.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
But I guess that's what spiritual life is also. It's because even a lot part of spiritual life is about becoming patient and learning to be tolerant. So
Yeah.
by working with animals, specifically cows, it's almost like you have to just develop those qualities.
Yeah. Yeah, I when I started out, I was like, is this, are these guys doing it on purpose, or is it, are they trying to, I don't know if they're doing it on purpose, or is this just by nature. But then if you read Bhagavatam, it'll tell you, like, the animals, they don't have really, like, high cognitive levels as us, as we do. Their intelligence is not as high as us. So anything they do is really kind of like not their fault.
Yeah.
So you have to be like very careful.
You can't blame them.
Yeah, you can't blame them. Yeah.
Nice.
So it's that you have to always remember that if you're if you're hurting them, and then someone breaks out and just runs off somewhere. So yeah, it's just a natural impulse to eat something fresher somewhere. So
the grass is always greener on the other side.
On the other side. Yeah.
You think you'll do this for the rest of your life? Work with in like agriculture?
Yeah, I think I'll be doing this. Yeah. I graduated, and then so I got a job and I quit the first day. So.
Oh wow. So me too. I also just had a job for one day.
One day, so I'll be doing this for a long time. I don't think I'll be going back in the city. Most people come here and they say, "Oh, it's so quiet." So that's one thing that draws them to the
actual
farm.
environment. Is
Environment. Farm life and things like that.
You're a hero, Gita. This is the real front lines, as they say, because rebuilding civilization in a more sustainable direction starts with people like you who are willing to take that hit. So you're like a real pioneering person. So
it's it can be rewarding, and you have ups and downs every day, but most of the part you have to appreciate that you're at a place where most people are not exposed to.
Yeah.
So it's like a gift,
Yeah.
I guess it might be in the nature for someone to live in the city, and someone to live in the farm side. But wherever you choose, as long as you're comfortable with it. And,
nice.
Yeah, Krishna conscious about it.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Nice. That's Gita, one of the Gita Nagari heroes.
Okay, boys, let's go. Alright, yeah. Go. Go. Ah. Come on, go. Cows are also so curious. You can see, like,
Something's happening.
Like, what's going on? Are you gonna brush me? Do you have any food?
Sorry, boys, no brushing for you. First off, you gotta work for it.
That boy's name's Arjuna. He's like him and
Yes.
How many potatoes?
These boys just did some hard work today. Now they're getting a little bit of a reward by brushing them down.
Yeah, Casey told me that if you brush them, it's like equivalent to giving them some feed after they work.
So it's like the face of contentment right there. So it's so much different than working with a machine, because if you have a tractor, this is not any relationship. But when you work with animals, you have to make sure that they're happy and you have to take care of them. You have to make sure that they're good. You see this guy even, he's so bummed that he couldn't go today because he also wanted to get brushed down. So that's the,
That guy, Baladev.
that guy also you can see. So it's an amazing thing, like everybody likes to work, and it's amazing to see when humans and animals work in unity. And yeah, it's not like we're always working with technology and working with machines, and it's just such a dead relationship. I mean, you might love your computer, but you can't brush it down. So that's the amazing thing with a simple life, is that there's also so much of it is based on relationships and based on friendship with one another. It's definitely not an exploitative relationship if it is done in high consciousness.
I'm gonna release them.
One of the nicest things here in Gita Nagari is the very beautiful temple room and also very special deities, which I'd like to show you. So, the deities here at Gita Nagari are very special. All deities are special, but these ones have a very special story. This is Shri Shri Radha Damodar, and they are the deities that used to travel with Vishnujan Swami in his bus. So if you know Vishnujan Swami, very famous sannyasi in ISKCON, his kirtan is very nice, famous, and he used to travel with Tamal Krishna Maharaj. They had the Radha Damodar bus party, which used to travel all over the United States and distributed thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of books. I don't even know what the total score is, but there was many, many books that they distributed all over America. And the Tamal Krishna Maharaj, in his book, The Servant of the Servant, he chronicles a lot of that story. And also Vilasa Prabhu wrote this book called Radha Damodar Vilasa, which is probably one of the most entertaining reads ever. It's so wonderful to read about that era. They were just like transcendental pirates cruising through America on their bus, living a carefree life, working very hard. And Radha Damodar was there all along, helping them. And Vishnujan also, he first started his bus tour. He was the one who first had the bus before Tamal Krishna Maharaj came. And yeah, if you would be interested in reading about that, I highly recommend the Radha Damodar Vilas, a really nice book. And so here, a nice opportunity to pray. At least one of my prayers here is that I can also somehow stay connected to this spirit of trying to spread Krishna consciousness, Krishna's glory, specifically by Harinam and Sankirtan. What can we say? It works. So we're here with the busiest man in Gita Nagari.
No, come on.
This is Dhruva Maharaj. So this interview cannot last long because if you've ever actually lived on a farm, you know that real farmers work hard the whole time. So for Dhruva, I only have one question. So Dhruva actually he is a friend. He's also from South Africa, and he used to work in he was what kind of engineer?
I
were
was a mechanical engineer.
Engineer, and
working in a nuclear power plant.
yeah, at Kuber, from South Africa, and so he left behind that whole corporate world and he turned to the non-profit world, and now he's a farmer. And I just wanted to hear, yeah, what do you like best about this new style of life that you've embraced?
Yes. Yeah, I guess there's more freedom and more opportunities for innovation, for development, both, of course on the farming side in terms of skill sets, but at the same time a lot of personal growth as well. So meeting so many wonderful new people, making friends with so many nice farmers, and really trying to understand, what the future holds for farms, farming, and the whole sustainability environmental movement. So it's just, so many amazing opportunities. In fact, practically unlimited opportunities.
More than you can take.
Yes. So, yeah, I'm just really excited. Been here now for 12 years and, looking forward to so many more wonderful opportunities that the farm presents.
What about as an engineer? Would you say your engineering intelligence is satisfied here on the farm? with
Yes,
everything
we refer to Gita Nagari as service wonderland. So there's unlimited opportunities to satisfy all facets of our innovative, artistic, engineering, whatever capabilities one has can be fully satisfied on the farm.
Wow, so there you got it. So if you have any capabilities and you want to satisfy them, this is the place to come. And this is the man you got to speak to.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so I'm fortunate enough here to grab one of the busiest people in Gita Nagari. This is Parijata, the program coordinator here. And sort of along with her husband, they're more or less the visionary heads here at this farm. And I just wanted to ask a little bit about the different projects and programs that you're having and people can get involved in and what's happening here.
Thanks, Vilasa. It's nice to have you and be able to connect like this. So it's exciting because people have a tendency to think in a farm you pretty much have your hands in the dirt all the time, and that's how your days pass, and there's just not enough diversity or engagement. But here, fortunately, we have extensive diversity. We run what is called an alternative break program with students. So most persons at university these days are very intentional in their choices, and they want to be active citizens. So it's basically a program of active citizenship, and they take their breaks. Instead of going to some island locally or some beach, they take their 7 days off and come and spend that time with us. So they live and serve with us, and we run a very extensive program giving them the full ambit of sustainable living, compassionate living in a space like this. And they tend to, in the evenings, come forward with the various fields of study that they're in, and we facilitate what we call as design thinking systems, design thinking framework for them to use their current field of study in relationship to sustainable living and how they can make that contribution. And they just love that connection. And so there's a lot of purpose in that that they find as they go back to their environments and continue to contribute and extend this community. There's also the WWOOFing program, Worldwide Work on Organic Farms. That's quite a well-known program. It's actually increased in popularity now with the way the times are. We find they're either persons taking a gap year after high school or even in university because it's going online, or they're basically mid-career professionals just wanting to do something different where they can apply their intelligence, feel closer and reconnect to nature, and have that experience of, again, part of a total system around food justice, around, food is not just a neutral thing anymore. It's got so many implications.
Politicized and
completely,
economic,
yes. And persons coming wanting to be able to make a difference to ensure that, we get healthy food, ethical food on our tables. And so we love that connection. Then we have, of late, what is called the Farm Study Program. Those students transitioning to online school, it's difficult in their respective environments to try to have some functionality and holistic approach to their life, especially at that life stage, if they were constantly social distancing and not having that interaction. And so we've offered our space. Our economic model is the retreat center. It helps us generate income for the winter and to maintain the entire facility. With COVID and the cancellation of events, our facilities were lying vacant, and we wanted to offer that space to the students because they were, an audience, a group that was in need. And so we offer them stable Wi-Fi, focus on the academic goals, fully supported in that, and then access to 350 acres where they do 12 hours of farm work a week, and they get to also have access to the forests and the trails and the river trails. A group of them are kayaking this morning till lunchtime. So they're helping in the kitchen, but they're also helping with the CSA, which is our Community Supported Agriculture Program, as well as the dairy. And then again, their respective fields of study, they're able to integrate that into making a contribution for the various aspects of the nonprofit here. And that again is the most inspiring part of it, because again, the purpose is very strong, they are connected, and they're taking that back into their respective environments.
Wow.
And then other programs on the side, but very integral, are around the local partnerships that we have, and they are with local communities, whether it's a multi-farm CSA that we offer, and we're connecting with the Amish and Mennonite farms, which makes a great connection in terms of us having the infrastructure to take what they work very hard at doing to the consumer. They're the producer, but the stage between production and the consumer is something that's restrictive for them. They don't engage on the online, etc. And so, and there's also then to be able to build our own knowledge base and our own practical experience, the relationships with the United States Department of Agriculture, and more specifically the Natural Resources and Conservation Services. And that's been exceptional with the local staff.
For your forestry, or what specifically?
Yes, that's for forestry particularly, as well as conservation plans for soil health, and as well as all the agricultural practices around.
You're certified
animals.
organic farm?
Yes, the farm is certified organic. The dairy is not. That's because it doesn't quite fully align with our model. For example, if a cow were to be administered antibiotics, they would need to be removed from the herd or culled, and that's against the values of how we maintain that operation. And so we've opted to follow organic practices, but not certified.
Not certification. Right?
The pastures are certified and the vegetable production is certified. And I think, and just generally, just having, being a space for persons with all interests, whether they're families, professionals, nonprofits themselves, different groups of, different interests, whether they're interested in spirituality or yoga or sustainable living or just wanting a getaway, we're able to meet their needs in such a diverse space.
Wow. I mean, that's amazing. It's always amazing when you come to a place and you have the experience of the place, and then when you meet the consciousness behind, or the vision behind it, it's always, then you're like, oh wow, that's why it's so nice here, and then you see how everything fits together. So it's really so if you guys ever have the opportunity to come to Gita Nagari or to support them in any way, it really is worth it. And as we see, as the world opens up again, then the retreats will reopen, and it's really a remarkable place. I'm very grateful for people like yourself who take that. I mean, working in the non-profit sector is always, it's challenging. It's rewarding in its own way, but we know that there's a reason why the corporate sector is bigger.
Yes.
So in any case, but this is the heroes of the non-profit world, so we really appreciate it. Thank you, Parijata.
Thank you so much.
This is our final pit stop here before we're heading back to New York City. You get the magic ingredient that you can only really get on a farm. Some fresh cow poop for our roof garden back in New York. We compost most of our vegetable scraps there in the city, and there's nothing to get your compost heap going like some fresh cow dung. And I'm here with my good friend Vilasa, one of the other unsung heroes here at Gita Nagari. The man who makes things happen in the back. He's also someone, it's like what they call a New York survivor. He made it out of New York City life, graduated to the city life. You say you're happy here?
Never be the same after that experience.
Yeah.
Yes, very happy here.
What do you like most about this kind of city, of this this style of living?
Yeah, this style of living is just very, how to say, yeah, it's very quiet. Of course, there's a lot of service, so it's not exactly like we're just sleeping in hammocks all day and playing the banjos. But no, it's a main thing is just a very important thing in today's day and age to have this kind of project, because yeah, as the whole situation, economic situation gets worse, people's overall standard of living gets worse, then what are we gonna need is places like this where we can show people how to live a real human life.
Nice. So there you go, real human life. This is the frontier, and it all starts